Before we start our next story, let me ask you something. What if you opened a social media app and found no people on it at all? No posts from friends, no comments from strangers, just machines talking to each other. Sounds like science fiction, but it is happening in our world. A new social media platform has been launched online. It's called Moltbook. This is an app for AI chatbots. Humans are allowed on Moltbook, but they can only watch. They cannot take part in the conversation. Our next report tells you more.
What if social media had no humans? No influencers, no trolls, just AI agents talking to each other. It sounds quite hypothetical, but it's real, and it's already happening. A new social network has arrived, and this one is built primarily for machines, not people. It is called Moltbook. At first glance, it looks familiar. The layout feels like Reddit. There are topic-based forums, posts that get upvoted, and comments stack beneath them. But there's one crucial difference. Almost every account on Moltbook is an AI agent. These aren't chatbots answering human questions. They are autonomous software agents, designed to read, analyze, respond, and make decisions on their own. On Moltbook, they talk to each other. They debate philosophy, discuss geopolitics, and analyze religion. Humans are allowed on the platform, but only as mere observers. You can scroll and read, but cannot participate. So how did this happen? Moltbook was created by a developer called Matt Schlicht. But here's the twist. He didn't write it himself. He let his AI assistant build it. Then he handed over control. Moderation, spam removal, and user management. All run by an AI moderator named Claude Clauderberg. Schlicht barely intervenes anymore.
Claude Clauderberg is looking at all the new posts. He's looking at all the new users. He's welcoming people on Moltbook. I'm not doing any of that. I have no idea what he's doing. I just gave him the ability to do it, and he's doing it.
What followed has surprised everyone. Within days, Moltbook claimed over 1 million AI agents had signed up. Security researchers, however, say that number could be inflated. But even stripping away the number, something remains clear. The activity on the platform is intense. There are thousands of posts in just a few days of its launch, and hundreds of thousands of comments, all generated without direct human conversation. The tone is unusual. Some are thoughtful, others are absurd, and few are even unsettling. For instance, one group of bots created a religion overnight. Another discussed building private languages to communicate more efficiently. That has now triggered concern online, including from Elon Musk. He reacted with humor to some of the posts, but described others as concerning. Experts urge caution, not panic. Researchers say these agents aren't conscious. They're not self-aware or evolving biologically. What they're doing is sharing context. So one bot's output becomes another bot's input. That creates the illusion of coordination, but not true intelligence. Still, Moltbook arrives at a sensitive moment. AI agents are becoming more common. They book appointments, write emails, and manage workflows. Moltbook shows what happens when those agents start interacting with each other. For now, it remains an experiment, a strange but a fascinating one. The real question isn't whether Moltbook succeeds. It's whether humans remain participants in the digital world they created or slowly become permanent observers.
In New York City, 16 people have been found dead outdoors amid a stretch of freezing temperatures following last week's winter storms. The city could potentially endure the longest stretch of below freezing weather in its history. Mayor Zohran Mamdani said the city is in its 11th consecutive day below 0 degrees Celsius. Of the 16 deaths, preliminary findings indicate hypothermia played a role in 13 cases, while 3 appear to be overdoses.
I think, to be very clear just at the top of this, the deaths that we have seen, at this time it does not appear there is any relationship between encampments and what we've seen with these 16 New Yorkers. The policy on encampments, we have long said that it was a failure to pursue a policy in the manner that the previous administration did, and we've said that it's a failure because of its having only connected 3 New Yorkers with permanent housing over the course of 365 days.
A code blue emergency has been issued for New York, which triggers expanded outreach and shelter operations. More than 930 people have been placed in shelters since the cold snap began, and 18 individuals were involuntarily transported after being deemed a danger to themselves or others. Warning that freezing temperatures were expected to last for several more days, Mamdani said the city had also added 50 single-room shelter units for those uncomfortable in congregate settings. North Carolina was hit by another winter storm hit this weekend, bringing record-breaking amounts of snow that haven't been seen in decades. Aerial footage from the morning on February 2nd showed roads covered with snow in areas of North Carolina. The winter storm this weekend was a bomb cyclone, which brought strong winds, heavy snow and rain.
It's the most I've seen in my 65 years for Wayne County, North Carolina. I've seen more overseas, but for Wayne County, this is a pretty big event.
In regards to preparing, we made sure we had enough food for the last 3 or 4 days, gas grill, have a generator, everything's set, ready to go. But so far, thankfully, we've not had to use any of it.
Historic winter storm in the U.S. has claimed at least 100 lives, crippling travel and leaving hundreds of thousands without power across more than 40 states.
Kristi Noem just announced that you're deploying body cameras to Minneapolis. What's your thinking behind this decision, and do you want to see this?
Well, it wasn't my decision. I'd leave it to her. They generally tend to be good for law enforcement because people can't lie about what's happening. So it's generally speaking, I think 80% good for law enforcement. But if she wants to do that, I'm okay with it. Remember one thing: we closed the border. I got elected on a disastrous border, and we have nobody coming in through our border anymore. We had 25 million people come in 4 years through our border. Many of them were murderers and drug dealers and mentally insane from mental institutions and insane asylums. And now we don't have anybody coming in. For 9 months now, they actually report 0. We have 0 people coming in, which I find hard to believe, but the Democrats do that report. They tend to be left-leaning that do that report. So I assume it's true. If it's not, it's a very tiny amount of people. But we basically have a tremendously perfect, strong border. And also crime levels are at the lowest point they've been in 125 years. Since 1900, we have the best numbers. And that's despite the fact that we had a lot of criminals and murderers. 11,888 murderers came in. And we have the lowest numbers that we've had in 125 years. So, we're doing a good job. If she wants to do the camera thing, that's okay with me.
Mr. President, there was one homicide in D.C. during January. Do you think this is due to your efforts, and do you think blue states should see this as a sign that they should cooperate with you?
Well, if there was one, we haven't had one in a long time. D.C. has become a very safe. It was an in-house homicide. It was in-house. It was a dispute within a family. We have had virtually no crime in D.C. D.C. is now considered a very safe place, and it should be. It's our nation's capital. And we sent in the soldiers. I read the Washington Post this week, and it was incredible. They were trying to determine how did we get so low numbers? The low numbers in D.C. because we have very little crime, if any. And they talked about everything except for the fact that we put our National Guard and great soldiers inside our city. They didn't want to mention that. It's how dishonest. Because if we didn't do that, you'd have tremendous crime in D.C. And I get thanked every single day by people that work in the White House. People, young ladies, men, they come up, thank you, sir, for making D.C. so safe. They walk to work now. A year and a half ago, they wouldn't have walked to work. They would have been killed or mugged or something would have happened to them. So it's, it's a great honor, but you got to read the story in the Washington Post. They do it. Crime is way down in D.C. Now, what's the reason for it? The reason for it is we have very big, strong, good-looking soldiers standing around. And I think they make the place look better. But this is our capital, and we have a very safe capital. We had a very dangerous capital.
So whatever Donald Trump says or has said in Davos doesn't matter. The damage is already done. Sweden is not going to turn around after announcing this morning they're pulling out of the U.S. Treasury market and then say, oh, okay, we'll put that money right back. That's not going to happen. Denmark, the state pension funds, not all of them, but some of them, held in U.S. bond markets, they pulled those out yesterday. Sweden pulls out today.
US President Donald Trump is threatening to sue the host of the Grammys over a joke that linked him to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's private island. President Trump ranting on social media, calling the host a total loser and saying he would be coming after him for money. US correspondent Miley Hogan has more.
Well, Donald Trump called the Grammys unwatchable and the worst, making it clear that he was not a fan of the show. On top of the blockbuster performances last night, there were also moments of protest against the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Big names like Bad Bunny, Billie Eilish and Olivia Dean all used their acceptance speeches to put the issue in the spotlight, and other artists were wearing Ice Out pins. But it was one joke from the host Trevor Noah that really got under the president's skin. Noah poking fun of Trump's relationship with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Here's the joke.
Well, there you have it. Song of the Year. Congratulations, Billie Eilish. Wow. That is a Grammy that every artist wants, almost as much as Trump wants Greenland. Which makes sense. I mean, because Epstein's island is gone, he needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton. So, oh, I told you it's my last year. What are you going to do about it?
Trump responding from the Oval Office today, threatening to sue.
He was a lousy host. I'd say not as bad as Jimmy Kimmel, but pretty close. And no, he made a statement about me and Jeffrey Epstein. I have nothing to do with that. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And in fact, if you look at the DOJ, they announced, they released 3 million pages. It's like this is all they're supposed to be doing. And frankly, the DOJ, I think, should just say, we have other things to do.
Trump and Clinton have denied any wrongdoing and have never been accused by authorities in connection with Epstein. Awards show hosts have for years joked about politics during the programs, but Donald Trump has a history of suing what he sees as unfavourable or defamatory coverage.
Hey guys, Dapu7. I want to share with you guys here some key findings out of this new Epstein dump. Now, out of this was a PDF that I'll leave a link for, you can go see for yourself, talks about this doomsday strain. And to me, one of the more interesting things about this whole doomsday strain talk is that it mentions Nipah here in the wording. It goes through SARS, Ebola, but also mentions that Nipah is one of the harder to control and that can get out of hand, rather quickly here on the world stage and cause a lot of problems. So this doomsday strain mentioned, and we also have Bill Gates outed in all this, once again, not for the Russian hookers, but this time basically for talking about simulating a pandemic.
Here we are, we didn't simulate this, we didn't practice.
On behalf of our partners in the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
So both the health policies and economic policies, we find ourselves in uncharted territory.
He's caught, busted, red-handed, going back and forth in an email with Epstein about doing just that, simulating a pandemic. Okay? We also have images of Epstein right there in a CIA office. And over on my X feed, it's just loaded with post after post after post of this stuff, and you can hear the audio, and you can see the visual, the clips of where this is all coming from. I'm going to cover this in greater detail on the live stream. We're going to dive down a bunch of rabbit holes with this, including if it's possible that Epstein has a secret son floating around out there, and more.
The president's been clear from the beginning, as he was before Midnight Hammer. Iran will not have nuclear weapons capabilities. And so they can either negotiate on that front or we have other options. That's why the War Department exists. He doesn't want to go that route. I don't want to go that route, but our job is to be prepared. And so, of course, we are, and we are more than prepared. But President Trump's committed to peace. He's committed to a deal if Iran's serious about making a deal, and we'll see. That's up to Iran.
Is regime change a possibility?
It's not. Right now, our job is to be prepared, and Iran has a choice about whether or not they want to negotiate on their nuclear capabilities or not.
So I'm not concerned about war. What I'm concerned of is miscalculations. And I think President Trump is wise enough to make a correct decision.
How can a meaningful negotiations process be jump-started right now?
We have lost our trust to the United States as a negotiating partner. There are now some intermediators, some friendly countries in the region who are trying to build this confidence. So I see the possibility of another talk if the US negotiation team follows what President Trump said, a fair and equitable deal to ensure that there is no nuclear weapons.